Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope you had a good day. Really nice here in Maine today. It was sunny, some clouds, a little wind, but it was warm. It was like almost 40 degrees, I think, and it was pretty nice out. So, geez, I mean, I actually had to put the air conditioner on a little bit in my truck because when I opened the door to get in, it was the heat, you know, because the sunlight beats right down on it during the day, and so it was really hot inside the cab. So I had to turn it on for a little bit just to cool it down some. So I got to put that on for the first time since I got it. So yeah, so very nice day. All right, so I got a couple videos, and the first one here that I want to play here is from Ben Mysalis, and he's going to be talking about how, as the market was tanking here the last couple days big time, Trump's been kind of like, you know, kind of disappeared into the wind, and he's been letting his people basically hit the news circuits out there, you know, and trying to defend what's happening, you know, by saying that Trump told us things would get worse and before they get better. But you know, that I think nobody's really listening to that excuse right now anymore, because, you know, hey, nobody likes to go through bad times, even if they know there's going to be better times over there, because we never know, and he can't tell you when those better times are going to come. They could come, you know, after he's finished his term as president. Okay, people are going to suffer, but then they're going to want quick relief from this, and they're not getting it. You know, at least Trump doesn't even know if they're going to get it, but he's just letting people say on faith, you know, just trust me, you know, trust the guy who's already fucked us over here, I don't know how many times already, and fucked the government over. You trust him, right? Yeah. All right, let's go to that video here, and then we'll talk about that on the other side.
Donald Trump had a busy schedule today where he was supposed to go in front of the cameras multiple times, but it seems that he canceled those appearances as the markets were crashing. There's a reason why they call Donald Trump Bunker Boy. When the heat is there, Donald Trump runs away and he flees. Just take a look at the daily guidance for his press schedule. He was supposed to be in multiple meetings where there was going to be cameras. There was going to be a round table where the press was going to be there around 2 p.m. He was going to sign executive orders around 3 p.m. And then he was going to hold a ceremonial swearing in where he was going to be videotaped as well, where that was going to be on camera as well. Donald Trump, though, canceling all of his appearances. You can see Donald Trump here walking up the very small stairs of Air Force One as he departed yesterday from Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump likes to make fun of former President Biden for climbing up those other stairs, but take a look at what Trump did as he was leaving his vacation. But the White House did put out the following statement. Here's what the White House put out. Asked about the day's stock market downturn, a White House official responded with the following statement. This is real. I'm not making this up. An official White House statement about the tanking markets today. want to emphasize that we're seeing a strong divergence between animal spirits of the stock market and what we're actually seeing unfold from businesses and business leaders. And the latter is obviously more meaningful than the former on what's in store for the economy in the medium to long term. You take a look right here, this from the Wall Street Journal about the stock market today. The NASDAQ falls about 4% after Donald Trump doesn't rule out a recession. Other headlines like this: Wall Street sell-off. The Dow is down almost 900 points. Consumer confidence is now sinking as well. And the percentage of Americans who feel that things will be worse in 12 months is now surging. Donald Trump took a Goldilocks economy that was handed to him by former President Biden, what the Wall Street Journal once called an economy that was the envy of the world under former President Biden, and Donald Trump just crashed it into the ground. So while Donald Trump's gone silent, but just issuing that weird statement about animal spirits, you have people going on Fox like this guest who was speaking when the Dow was down about 1,500 points today. Watch this.
And if you have different people in the administration giving different messages, I mean, the Commerce Secretary and the President are having different messages on the same day. That's not giving the market any sort of ease or certainty for investors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even greater crash.
We should let Jonathan keep talking because the market's come back 50 points.
There you go. There you go.
But obviously, the Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Donald Trump took office.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
Well, and then the state regime media on Fox with Harris Faulkner, one of the Fox propagandists. What she was most upset about today, she said that the real issue here is the left for celebrating that Donald Trump is tanking the economy. No, Harrison Faulkner, we're not celebrating. No one is celebrating the economy is crashing. We're pointing it out that y'all have continued to lie over and over again. Let's play it.
So the question that I have, and the liberal network that, look, and thereby by the grace of God can go anybody, but right now they're failing miserably and firing their people. So I couldn't be all wrong on that. But why would you wish for the death of the American economy? Why would you be against Americans? I don't think this is new. This is like when we saw the big crop up of anti-Semitism in this country last year. Where do you think it lived? Right next door. So these people who hold these views against America, this isn't like some rash that just came on. No, this is an infectious thing that's been around for a long time, and this is how they really feel. So think about that when they try to get you to vote for them, or as Michael Steele tries to convince you that he's in government. Think about that. He's a talk show host.
And just a reminder, when Donald Trump walked up those small stairs to get into Air Force One yesterday and then actually did speak to the press yesterday, you'll recall that when he was asked about the disastrous economy, he said that this is all part of the plan and that you're going to be so rich, you're not going to even know what to do with how rich you are. Let's play this clip.
Where are we? Are we we're just about ready to land.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what, of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great, and the plane is landing. And thank you for a lot of good questions, okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Donald Trump's priorities, though, were pretty much focused on Greenland. While our economy was tanking, Donald Trump said to the people of Greenland that he's going to make the people of Greenland so rich, people of Greenland. The response from the leader of Greenland is, "Get away, Donald." And the leader of Greenland saying, "We now have to protect ourselves far more than we ever thought about this bully regime, the Trump regime." The MAGA Republicans, though, continuing to go on Fox Business in Donald Trump's silence and say the most absolute heinous and ridiculous things. Here's MAGA Republican Congress member Tom Emmer on tariffs. He says the markets are going to have all kinds of different things. Yeah, you're going to see some tanking, but you got to stay the course. Here, play this clip.
The markets are going to have all kinds of different things going on, but yes, we are going to stay the course because this country's future depends on it. Why should Americans not have free and full access to markets around the world when we give all of those other folks access to our markets right here in the United States? I think Donald Trump made it very clear this is what he was going to do. I think the public's with him. And by the way, if Canada or other of our trade partners want to try and make this hard on Americans, Charles, it's actually going to help Donald Trump because he told all of us during his campaign, all Americans, that they don't care about you. I'm the one that cares about you. I'm the one that's going to take care of this. And I think Americans are going to support him even more.
You know, ironic. Here's MAGA Republican Congresswoman Maliotakis. Here, play this clip right here.
Target and Best Buy said last week that prices are going up in direct relation to the tariffs. Is that a good thing for your constituents on Staten Island and beyond?
I mean, but the tariffs, the tariffs haven't even gone into effect. They've been postponed. So, you know,
tariffs have gone into effect for China and others.
Yeah. Been in effect.
No, some of the tariffs have gone into effect. Yes.
Well, but not the ones to Mexico and Canada. And the tariffs in China, they were in effect over the last 4 years.
Donald Trump is increasing tariffs on China.
Okay. President Biden actually kept and increased tariffs on China. Okay. Trump came in, a slight change increase there, but these are tariffs that have been in place all through the Biden administration. It was a 50% tariff that Joe Biden kept in place, plus an additional 25% on particular sectors.
Yep, as Heather Long says, Wall Street is souring on the Trump economic agenda. The Dow falling 890 points is now below where it was on election day. This is the worst stock market performance in a president's first 50 days since 2009. It's that disastrous. Yep. And in the vacuum of Donald Trump not speaking, of Donald Trump being cornered and running away like the bunker boy that he is, Elon Musk was giving interviews with Fox, and Elon Musk basically said, we need to get rid of all of these entitlements. And as I've said before, he is coming for your Social Security. Here, play this clip.
So the worst report in entitlement spending, you know, which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here, and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing. You know, if we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave, and they will lose voters.
And let me share with you this clip right here. This is Kevin Hassett, Donald Trump's top national economic advisor. Here's what he had to say, that this is the Biden economy and it's the Biden economy's fault. Play this clip.
Near term, we've got a Biden economy that, you know, still most of Biden policies are in place. If you look at the Atlanta Fed GDP now number, it's showing negative first quarter, which is kind of, if you like, a metric of the inheritance of President Biden. A lot of that is also from a big increase in the trade deficit.
That's so utterly, utterly pathetic. And then let me share this with you. This was from Bernie Sanders' appearance over the weekend on March 8th in Altoona, Wisconsin. And here Bernie Sanders is talking to working class people about what they experience. Let me show you this clip. Let's play it.
Raise your hand. What is it like living paycheck to paycheck? Who wants to? All right, let me get some hands back there. Be loud. We got a hand there. Okay, ma'am. Stressful. Stay on that issue, sir. You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on. Yes, ma'am. Trying to find a way to plan a meal until your next paycheck comes. Ma'am? Forget about buying shoes and clothes for your kids. Ma'am? Skipping doctor's visits. Okay, I see a hand back there. Sir, yeah. fear that your world is going to fall apart. Sir.
Am I getting glasses or am I getting it for my kid?
Am I getting glasses or can I get them for my kids? Sir. Can't plan for the future. Hand back there, sir.
Psychological warfare.
Okay, psychological warfare. Yes.
You make impossible decisions for your family.
You make impossible decisions for your family, sir.
General insecurity.
General insecurity. Okay, I think you got it. So let me just tell you something. If we were a poor country, I would come before you and give you a very different speech. I'd say, hey, look, I'm sorry, we're poor. We can't afford decent education, can't afford decent health care. I want you never to forget, we are the richest country in the history of the world. There is no excuse for people dying young because of that stress.
And you can contrast that to J.D. Vance's speech, where he was getting heckled while he was speaking at the National League of Cities. Let's play it.
That. Well, I see one of our nice representatives out here wants to actually, I guess, continue to flood the country with illegal immigrants, making your communities and citizens unaffordable. But ma'am, with all respect, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we want to make it more affordable for Americans to live. That is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing now.
Well, there you have it, folks. Donald Trump going silent, not bringing the cameras into the various events, hiding as the markets tank. Typical for Donald Trump. When the going gets tough, caused by Donald Trump's incompetence, corruption, greed, and idiocracy, a Donald Trump gets a running, and he hides like the bunker boy that he is. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million.
So he won't rule out a recession. Okay? I don't think anybody is saying that a recession is impossible. I think every economist has made that point on whatever news service they get questioned on. They're pretty much all saying that if things keep going in the way they are, we will be in a recession probably before the end of the year. And as they keep saying these things, Americans' faith in the economy getting better is actually sinking even lower than snake piss. Okay, so people are not buying Trump's bullshit. Okay, for once, people are not going to hold on to hope that, oh yeah, better days are coming. No matter how many ways Musk says it, no matter how many ways Trump says it, no one's buying it, because nobody likes to lose their job. Okay, think, if any of you out there are listening to this show, how many of you have lost your jobs? I mean, how does it feel? I mean, it impacts right off, doesn't it? The worries start to go up when you lose your job. You want relief right off the bat. You don't want some asshole in Washington giving you false hope that, oh, things will get better, but he doesn't tell you when. If he's planned this thing out as well as he says he has, which I know he hasn't, but I'm just saying, if he's being honest and he says he's planned this out and he knows how it's going to happen, then he'd be able to tell you when things would get better. But he can't, because he hasn't planned it. He's just throwing this shit on the wall here is what he's doing. He's got investors are scared. I mean, it's reflected, on the stock market. And, the MAGA people are getting pissed that, the left wing is out there saying, we told you so, we told you so, okay? And they're trying to say, oh, well, they're celebrating the market crashing. No, we're not. We're just saying you guys knew or should have known this was going to happen, okay? Because Trump really didn't pull any punches on his campaign to say what he was going to do, and he's doing it, okay? So now that it's happening, we're telling you, hey, you fucked around and now you're finding out. That's not us celebrating. That's just us saying, learn your lesson, okay? That's what we're telling people is, this is your fault. You caused this. Okay, if we'd have had Kamala Harris as president, and we wouldn't be going through these 5 or 6 weeks of shit here that we've gone through already, okay? Things would be percolating along just fine with the Biden economy. that Trump essentially has destroyed in just a short time. He's ruined it. Okay, so we're living under Trump's economy right now. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden. This is all on Trump at this point. Okay, nobody wants to see the economy fail. I mean, him going around telling people, oh, this is all part of a plan. That's part of a plan. Yeah, right. Plan my ass. The man can't plan anything. Jesus. And now he's sitting there making grandiose promises to Greenland that, oh, well, you'll be richer. You know, hey, look, until he comes through with what he's promising the United States, people in Greenland should just sit and wait. Okay? Don't fall for the fucking asshole who's doing a pyramid scheme or whatever the hell they call that. Okay? Sit back and see what he does to the American economy first, and then decide if you think he's going to make you richer. I guarantee you're going to say, no, let's stay the hell away from him, because look what he's done to the country. Okay? Don't just jump into anything with him. Okay? Let's see what he does. And then, you know, other people saying, we got to stay the course. The economy is tanking. There's no course to stay. You see what I'm saying? When you stay a course, it means you're staying on course to get to a better time. We're not getting to a better time. It's getting worse. So you don't stay the course. You change course into a different path. Okay? I mean, we stay on this course and we're going to see worse damage being done to the economy and irreparable damage in many cases. All right? And, the Target and Best Buy saying, well, prices are going to go. Well, of course prices are going to go up with places like, and even in Walmart in some cases, prices are going to go up. Okay? Because everybody's been getting their stuff from China. All right? I mean, I understand for years people were saying buy American. Well, that'd be fine if America made stuff. But they never did. And when you did buy American, it was usually more expensive than the stuff you'd buy that was made in China. That's why people can't buy American, because it costs too much. And that makes no sense to me. If you want people to buy American, then you should make stuff in America, but make it cheaper so they'll buy the stuff in America. If you make it more expensive, then hey, you're basically saying, throw all your money at us for a goddamn hammer made in America. Okay? Screw that. It's the fault of corporations not doing their part. Okay? And yes, we closed down a lot of plants in this country. All right? But the fact is that now that everybody's been screaming buy American, what's that going to mean? They're forcing us to go to the more expensive route because, they're trying to cut off everybody else that made it more affordable for us to live our lives here in this country. Now, they want us to depend wholly on the United States and its very expensive prices. Whenever we get that going, whenever we start making our own stuff, it's going to be more expensive than shit we get from China, especially if they keep attacking the trade agreement and stuff or whatever, when they keep attacking China and their goods and stuff. Yeah. So they're trying to force Americans to buy more expensive things. Okay? What was it I had read somewhere? Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Okay, I read here an article, and there's some YouTube videos about the same topic, that China is, in order for China to get around the tariffs, okay, they are closing their factories down in China and putting them into places like Vietnam, okay, or Mexico, to make stuff and circumvent having to pay the tariffs, okay, so that way they can keep their stuff cheap. So that would be good news for places like Costco, Walmart, all right, and some of the Dollar Trees, I guess, or whatever. Actually, they had been doing this. They started this during COVID, okay, when relations between us and China were going up, right? And so now they've got more factories built in these places, and it's for lower costs because it's cheaper in Vietnam for having, to have labor working there than it is in China. It's a strategic location. It makes it easy to import goods from China by road, okay? Favorable trade relations. They've had relations with Vietnam, doing stuff in their country, and it gets them around, tariffs when they want to export and stuff like that. So, yeah, China is getting around stuff. Will you stay down or sit up here or whatever? Make up your mind. Fucking cat, Jesus. So yeah, they're going there, and I think there was another place. Yeah, I said Mexico, but I think there was another somewhere else where they're moving factories and stuff to ship from those countries instead of China, so that way they can get around the tariffs. So, we might be able to still get stuff from, made in China, but shipped out from Vietnam. So that way, in that way, people can still have some options for cheaper things. But, that's just for things we get from China. I mean, as far as Canada goes, we get a lot of stuff from Canada, or we did. And now Trump's raised the tariffs on Canada once again, okay? And in retaliation, Canada is raising electric rates to the U.S. again. And it's like, what is this? I was like, somebody had said, well, so what's going to happen this summer? People in the states that are getting power from Canada suddenly are going to lose power during the summertime when it's like really hot and everything, and people can't run their air conditioners or something. I don't know if it's going to get like that, and if it does, I can guarantee you that's going to have a tremendous backlash on Washington, okay, if it gets to that point. When people's health is on the line and people are having heat stroke and they can't stay cool in the summer because, hey, we've had some pretty hot fucking summers here, last few years, and this one's looking to be another banger here of a fucking summer, from what I understand. If Canada decides to cut the juice here for some of these states, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good, because our country relies too heavily on, other areas of getting our power. We were lazy, and we just would not make our own, upgrade our own power and to become more self-sufficient. We just got lazy with that. I'm not sure why, but a lot of cities have been bitching for years that their power grids are being pushed to the max during the summertime, and we should have dealt with this issue a long time back, but we sat on our ass and we didn't do anything about it, and we just decided to bring electricity in from Canada and whatever. Okay, and I don't think that was a good idea. I think we should have said, look, we need to start building power plants in this country. We got a huge population, 350 plus million Americans, okay, and a lot of and big chunks of that population living in some of our biggest cities. Okay, you can't run electricity on the way the populations were back in the 60s and the 70s. It's gotten double that since then. So if people are going to be crammed into big cities, then you got to have the power to provide. So, it's an issue here that, we just never seem to fucking want to deal with. All right. Let's go to a commercial break then, and then we'll come back to do the second video.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me. At the end of the journey, The main thing is you, original.
In the first month of Trump's term, Elon Musk and his hacks have already demanded access to our Social Security data, schemed their way into the U.S. Treasury payment system, leaked sensitive intelligence information online. Now, Elon Musk is trying to open up your personal tax return. Why does Musk want control of your tax data? He won't say. But your tax returns are private by law, with tough criminal penalties for anyone inside or out for the IRS leaking them. But Musk insists he gets to paw through your taxes, look at every dollar you made or deduction you claimed. It's creepy, it's weird, it's illegal. Trump bragged about wanting to use the IRS for revenge against political opponents. Where does it stop?
Folks, how would you like to stay in a 5-star resort on the Gaza Strip? I'm going to make this happen for you just for the first 1 million people who pay me $5 or buy a meme coin or some stupid shit like that. I haven't figured it out yet, but listen, I just need you to do one thing. I need you to have your children enlist in the army so I can have them go and fight a war in Gaza. And basically, we're going to take the Gaza Strip and we're going to build hotels. Lots of hotels, folks. And all of you get to go and you get to stay on the Gaza Strip. It's going to be, I know there's a lot of suicide bombers there now, but listen, we're going to make it great again. We're gonna make Gaza great again. Gonna be lots of Trump hotels. It's gonna be very nice, very luxurious. And just need your children to go and sacrifice their lives in Gaza and maybe in Canada and Panama, maybe also Mexico, fighting terrorists while I also take over all these different nations. I like to call it Hitler energy, kind of my Hitler aspirations, if you would. We're gonna rename North America Trumpistan. So, yeah.
Big MacDonald with narcissistic charm tweets from his desk, causing nothing but harm. He says Canada's bad, and he just doesn't care. Guns and drugs flowing north, he's happy to share. He keeps talking tariffs, it's his favorite word. But most things he says are completely absurd. Donald says we have nothing he needs. Not our oil, not our potash, not canola seeds. No uranium or maple syrup as far as he can see. Not our lumber or flowing electricity. Not rare earth metals or our tourist bucks. Not aluminum, steel, or cars and trucks. There is just nothing here that Donald wants. So what is with all the takeover taunts? Big MacDonald draws a blank in his mind when he hears that Canada's generous and kind. He says we have nothing, just ice and snow. He'll destroy our economy to make his pockets grow. Canada knows who's a friend and who's not, and Donald would too if he had a clear thought. Donald says we have nothing he needs. Not our oil, not our potash, not canola seeds. No uranium or maple syrup as far as he can see. Not our lumber or flowing electricity. Not rare earth metals or our tourist bucks. Not aluminum, steel, or cars and trucks. There is just nothing here that Donald wants. So what is with all the takeover taunts? Big MacDonald, you put on quite a show. Terrific is your favorite word, but something you should know. Americans too will bear the cost, and all because your mind has been lost. Donald says we have nothing he needs. Not our oil, not our potash, not canola seeds, no uranium or maple syrup as far as he can see. Not our lumber or flowing electricity, not rare earth metals or our tourist bucks, not aluminum, steel, or cars and trucks. There is just nothing here that Donald wants. So what is with all the takeover taunts? So Big MacDonald, keep your dreams to yourself, your mind in the gutter and your plans on the shelf. We'll make our trades with friends that are true until the American people are finished with you.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody, young and old. All right, my second video is from Anthony Vincent Gallo, and his topic is J.D. Vance. So let's go to that video. We'll talk about that on the other side. Smokey.
We live in a post-truth society, but there is still one glaring and objective truth for all to see. J.D. Vance is the very definition of the word tool. And like a fool, he thinks he got where he is based on some sort of merit. Well, he's partially right. He's really good at being a tool. And part of being a tool is being a really good liar. And Vance just got caught red-handed, flat-footed in a big, demonstrable lie, which I'm going to show. Video evidence getting caught lying that you are definitely going to want to see because it shows how low Vance is willing to go to get ahead. I mean, that's why he was plucked out of obscurity by Peter Thiel, who saw his raw talent at being a liar and a tool and said, aha, that boy's the perfect tool. So Thiel went up to Donnie Boy Jr. and said, hey, I want you to use my tool. And then Donnie Boy Jr. went to Daddy and said, hey, let's use this tool, and then we'll get another apartheid-loving, totalitarian-dreaming billionaire on our side. And Orange Mussolini said, yep, let's play with that tool. And then Putin said, hey, I want to play with that tool too. Use him to attack Zelensky, and then you have an excuse to cut off aid to Ukraine. So Vance shamelessly played a tool for all the world to see and paid the price. Remember his little trip to Vermont? Because amongst other things, it included this.
JD, how does it feel being Putin's puppet?
And JD has been hurting ever since. So for those of you in the resistance, those of you who are turning out with signs on the motorcade trail, at the airports, at Tesla dealerships, don't think for a moment you are a drop in the pond. You are having the kind of enormous impact Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries can only dream about. In fact, your impact is so big that J.D. Vance, being a tool, had to do something about it. So what did he do? You guessed it, he lied. And even worse, he used his children to lie. Vance posted this. Today, while walking my 3-year-old daughter, a group of Slava Ukraini protesters followed us around and shouted as my daughter grew increasingly anxious and scared. I decided to speak with the protesters in the hopes that I could trade a few minutes of conversation for them leaving my toddler alone. Nearly all of them agreed. It was a mostly respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old as part of a political protest, you are a shit person. Okay, so I read this post and had the same reaction as Democratic activist JoJo from Jersey. He walks his daughter? Does he put her on a leash too? But okay, I have to side a little with J.D. Vance about this. You don't heckle politicians when they're with their toddlers. These protesters were a little out of line. But here's the other thing I thought. Well, JD, if you weren't such a tool, you would recognize that it is the height of privilege and arrogance to think your children should be sheltered from discomfort. I thought that, and then I thought, okay, but still, the left needs to always take the high road. We shouldn't harass politicians when they are with their toddlers. And as usual, I was right. Watch this video of the Slava Ukraini protesters harassing this toddler.
You call Trump America's Hitler. What changed?
Cell phone video shows the moment Vice President J.D. Vance was approached by pro-Ukraine protesters in Cincinnati, Ohio.
People are dying.
The protesters were on their way to a pro-Ukraine rally nearby when the chance encounter with the vice president occurred.
My 3-year-old daughter now, and I told you, I talked to you for 5 minutes.
Sign up for this job.
And now,
that's what you agreed. Yeah, why people are yelling at you.
3-year-old to have people run around and yell at us.
Ride your wrong saddle.
Exactly. They certainly invaded Ukraine in 2022.
And 2014. And Georgia and Chechnya. They are the aggressor every time.
One of the protesters later told CNN they felt Vance's post misrepresented the moment.
I understand that that's your view, and certainly
no, that's not our view. It's just our view.
So did you see it? Did you catch it? Look right there. See? That man has turned his back in an Eastern European gesture specifically designed to shame 3-year-olds. Roughly translated, that gesture means, I turn my back on you as a sign of shame that your father is such a tool of the right wing, and he is willing to use his own child as a tool for his lies to try and shame dissent against his own disgusting actions against an ally who is under attack by a sworn enemy. You gotta hand it to the Eastern Europeans. They really know how to pack an enormous amount of information in one small gesture. I mean, I look at that gesture and I am so ashamed of the left that I rend my garment. Well, okay, so I wrinkle my garment. But yeah, there is no following Vance and his child, no shouting at them. Are there impassioned voices? Yes. But are they harassing him, following him, calling him names? No, nothing. It was a chance encounter of people who did not even remotely turn out to protest Vance. What the video does prove is that Vance is willing to spin anything to his advantage. And this video proves that Vance is such a tool. He is willing to use his own 3-year-old as a prop to tell lies about the left. I can't wait to hear him justifying this lie. Will it be his classic, I stretch the truth to get at a broader truth? Or will the mainstream corporate media ignore this and not follow up on a lie caught red-handed? The bigger lesson here is not Vance's lame philosophical musings about truth in a post-truth society, but that the resistance is working. All these grassroots protests that are calling out what this administration has done with Ukraine and the role of Muskmelon head in this government is working. They are retreating. They are resorting to lies. They are scrambling. The lesson is keep it up. Keep up the protests. Keep up the signs. Keep going to town halls. Keep going to Bernie's rallies. Keep pushing back. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.
Yeah, you got quite a greeting there in Vermont there when you went skiing, the bastard. You know, and he deserved it too. After the way he treated Zelensky there in the Oval Office, him there and Big Mac boy there. Okay, the two of them there needed to get their ass handed to them somehow. But everywhere he's going now, people are there to greet him and shout at him and stuff, and he's getting pissed. You know, and so he brings his kid along, his 3-year-old toddler, and he tries to use that as, you know, like, stay away from me, you're putting my kid in danger. I don't, you know, that's just a way of him trying to run from people that want to talk to him or say things to him by, you know, saying, oh, I got my baby here or something, don't come after me. You know, I mean, he's such an asshole. He's not a tool, he's a prick. Okay? A tool is useful. Okay? He ain't useful. Vance is not useful, so he's not a tool. I'm sorry I'd have to disagree with Anthony there, but J.D. Vance is not a tool, because a tool is something that is useful, and he ain't useful. He's not doing anything for Trump. When was the last time you ever really saw his face? I mean, since Trump got elected, it's been Trump and Musk, Musk and Trump, Trump and Musk. Okay, we don't see Vance. If he's such a tool, why the fuck isn't he out there doing things? He ain't. Okay? No, he's just an idiot. That's what he is. He's there, you know, to add to the fire, to throw more gas on the fire if need be. Otherwise, he's useless. And Trump knew that when he got him, because he didn't want somebody to upscale him when he was running for president. He wanted somebody who was dumb, okay, didn't have much talent, you know, not too bright. And he just, like I said, that's why he picked Vance. And he knew the MAGA people wouldn't like him because of the shit that he said about Trump. So he needed a really bad second person to run, because it's all about me, right? It's all about Trump. The race for the White House is all about him. You know, forget about J.D. Vance, okay? You know, he's just the sidekick, but he's not the person you need to concern yourself with, because I'm not going to let him do any damn thing anyway. Okay, so Vance is a nobody. He was just somebody he needed to run with to be when he was running for the campaign. Now that he's won, he doesn't need Vance. He wants Musk. Okay, he wants Musk, but Musk couldn't run because he ain't a fucking American, the bastard. But anyway. So yeah, he got greeted in Vermont there by a bunch of angry people, but he's sitting there trying to say that it was a really a shit show with people chasing him, you know, screaming at him, calling him names, you know. And then when you look at the video, you don't really see that. I mean, yeah, there's anger there and stuff, but people kept their distance. Okay. They didn't scream at him. I mean, it was people, one person at a time, talking. And if you listen to what he was saying, you know what he did? He admitted, and I know Trump would have got pissed about this, but he told the people that, yeah, Russia did invade Ukraine. In the middle of all that hoopla, I picked that up. Okay? That's something that goes against what Trump's been trying to tell people, right? But he went out there and he said that. Russia did invade Ukraine. So you got that much out of him. Vance actually admitted, okay, even though we already knew that what they were saying was a lie anyway, but the fact that Vance felt the need to reveal that against everything else that Trump's been saying is like, okay, so we got Vance on record saying yes. But of course the media, I don't know if the media even picked that up or even cared, because like I said, Vance is a nobody. He doesn't have the Trump charisma that draws the fucking media. So this incident in Vermont probably got absolutely no attention from the press, and therefore nobody, unless you watched Anthony's video, would have heard him say that Russia invaded Ukraine. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's hard for me to see J.D. Vance as a tool, okay, because even before the election, you know, Vance was like, you know, who the hell cares? when he debated Tim Walz, you know, it didn't get much attention. I mean, yeah, everybody liked Tim Walz, and I think a lot of people watched for him. But J.D. Vance was really, you know, who cares? I don't even think MAGA bothered to watch any of that debate. Okay, but yeah, he's not a tool. I'm sorry, but I think that it's really sad and telling in a lot of ways that, you know, people, you know, will follow this guy around only because his name is attached to Trump's, but he really offers nothing, you know. I mean, we've had people like that in history. I'm trying to, think of like Dan Quayle. I mean, that was a guy that really didn't seem to have much use under Bush Sr., you know. And I think the only thing anyone will ever remember Dan Quayle is his fight with what's her name there from I'm trying to think now. Candace Berg and Murphy Brown, that TV show from back then, you know, and his issue about, oh, she's a single mother and we can't have single mothers raising kids and shit, you know, words to that effect. That's the only thing they'll ever remember Dan Quayle by. Okay, essentially he's just a nobody, and that's what J.D. Vance is. You know, he's not going to be remembered for much, if anything, you know, depending on how things shake down. But, you know, what the hell are you going to do, right? Now, this little thing here I got, it's a little heads up here about something that's happened. It says a cargo ship collided with a tanker carrying jet fuel off the English coast, setting both vessels ablaze and sparking concerns of a potential environmental disaster. Well, it's not a potential, it is an environmental disaster. We're talking fuel here. The crash triggered multiple explosions on board the tanker, sparking a major rescue operation while the fuel was sent pouring into the North Sea. And this happened, I think, yesterday. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone's really seen that. It's being covered by a few media outlets here. But it's going to be like their Gulf of Mexico disaster there with that oil rig. Yeah, it's a fucking mess. Let me see. You got sort of a picture here of it. Get the light. Yeah, okay. See it? It's all ablaze. The two tankers. You know, you would think after all this time, I mean, and like somebody had said, how can two big fucking tankers not see each other? And they have all the ocean in the world to fucking avoid hitting one another. You know, it doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, what, both crews were asleep at the wheel? Do they have autopilot on these things or something? And if they do, they must not work. So, you know, I'm curious as to how they explain this happening, because it just seems ridiculous that something like that could happen. I mean, maybe there's a reason. Maybe it was foggy. I don't know. But you would think with technology today that they'd have radar or some damn thing where they can detect anything ahead of them or behind them. Okay, I know they have that. And they can communicate with each other. So if they see something there, contact it and see, you know, who are you and where you're heading, and, you know, just so they can avoid each other. I mean, these are big ships. I don't know if you've ever seen one. I have. I mean, it looks like a goddamn, looks like a whole fucking town sitting on the water. They're so big, the damn things. Okay? But the fact that these two big fucking ships in the water just collided in the way that they did, like they didn't notice that they were there. I mean, it's, you know, it's unheard of. You know, maybe a ship running aground, okay, that would be more, you know, of a thing that could happen. You know, or some bad weather that, you know, I mean, I think at one time, some bad weather had actually split a tanker in half in the ocean. I can't remember when this happened, but it's been a long time, I think, probably back in the 90s or maybe the late 80s or something, you know, where bad weather had actually broke the ship in half. Okay, sort of like what happened with the Edmund Fitzgerald, you know, when they were in the Great Lakes here and stuff. That's kind of what happened to that ship, you know, is it broke in half. I mean, if you look at the way the thing is designed, it's like really thin in the middle, but it's got, you know, I mean, it looks like the damn thing is made to break in half at some point. But yeah, I mean, I just, you know, and of course, yeah, people are mad because, you know, environmental danger and stuff. You know, I hate to sound defeatist, but while we sit here and bitch about climate change, okay, and all the information that's there that supports that it's happening, we can't seem to get off fossil fuels. We can't seem to get anything off the ground like electric cars or other green energy sources, okay? We can't seem to do that. And I know why, you know, because you got fat business out there that doesn't want to die, and they will fight anything that directs consumers off of their product. Okay, I understand that. But a smart businessman would convert his or her industry into green energy. Okay, they don't have to do this all at once. They can do it gradually. Okay, especially the oil companies. They can start adding other fuel sources to their company while they wean off of the oil. They, you know, they decrease on one end and increase on the other over time. But, you know, nobody wants to do that. I think that's short-sighted. There's business opportunity there, okay? But, you know, what I think it is they want the quick dollar, because right now everything is geared for fossil fuels. And as long as that's the case, they're going to continue to make money that way quickly. But if they try and, you know, expand a little bit on the green energy side, okay, then they're spending money to create, you know, a new business within their business. And that may not yield immediately for a while, because still the world is still using, you know, gas-driven vehicles, and, you know, there's not enough people buying the electric motors and stuff like that. Will you please make up your mind where the hell you're going to sit? Jesus, that cat. Yeah, I mean, you just can't get away from it, you know, with them anyway. And so there's not this emergency push towards getting to green energy, you know, to save our own asses. All right. I mean, we mobilize quicker to fight wars than we do trying to mobilize to fight a natural disaster here. You know, and I would say, you know, if we can fight a war, if we can assemble a fucking army to go fight and free a whole bunch of nations overseas, okay, and the country can get behind it, then there's no reason in the world why we can't mobilize in the same way to get our asses off fossil fuels, and start, you know, creating new ways of powering our lives. No reason. You know, I was thinking there was this, you know, this new Star Trek series that's been playing here for a couple of years now, called Strange New Worlds, okay? And in the premiere episode of it, the first episode of the series, you had the protagonist in the story, Pike, who had like a home out you know, sort of like in an area that's like a, you know, wilderness area or a farmland area or something like that, okay? And in his yard, okay, he had, you know, an old 20th century fashion style wind thing to create energy, to create electricity, right? And I was thinking, you know, I mean, it's a modern day thing to add into a show that's supposed to take place in the 23rd century, but it's sending a message to people that, you know, you can do it. We have the technology today to do what you see this guy doing here in the future, okay? And by then, you know, where I guess we're supposed to take from that, you know, most people in that time period can power their own homes. They don't need to have or rely on a city or a town to supply them with energy. Okay, they can do this all on their own because, hey, you know, it's just there. I mean, what they do is they run the thing to charge a battery. The battery charges, and, you know, they got electricity. Makes sense to me, right? Okay, so they don't have to rely on a power grid, all right? But, you know, something like that would be easy to make today. I mean, if you could get people to do it, you just, you know, say, okay, people can put up these big wind mill kind of things here, you know, like what you see out on the off the coastline, you know, where you got those big wind towers and stuff. I mean, we got some here in Maine on the top of the mountains. If you're driving up towards Aroostook County and you're going up past excuse me, past Holton, if you look off in the distance, you'll see a whole line of those things up on the mountaintops, you know. Of course, they're miles away, but you can still see them. So, you know, imagine having one of those just, you know, for somebody's house, or maybe to power a couple of houses or something like that. You don't need to have a power company no more, okay? You just have these big things charging up batteries, big batteries that can last months on a charge or something like that, you know, and that's what you would need. But, you know, it's getting people to think on that level when we've all been, you know, from birth raised to go to the gas station to put fuel in our vehicles to go somewhere, or have to call a power company to turn the power on to your house, you know, when you buy it, you know, and stuff. You know, we're used to that, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's the thing is, we have the means. We have the technology, you know, as they say in the $6 Million Man, we got the technology to do away with all of that, okay? We don't have to be beholden to a fucking power company anymore if we don't want to be. But they don't want us to let them go. They want their money, you see. So they invest in advertising for people to stay with it. And then they spend money just, you know, attacking the other alternatives that people could use, and people believe that, okay? Think about that. If you had your own company, let's say you were making something that people really using a lot of, okay? And then somebody says, you know what, we don't have to keep using that stuff anymore. We can do it better with this. Well, wouldn't you get kind of defensive and say, hey, you know, fuck you, asshole? You know, you'd get pissed, wouldn't you? You'd try to attack them for saying, oh, they're selling you up the river and all this shit, or, you know, you do things so you can keep your customers, okay? Of course you would. Everyone, nobody likes their livelihoods tampered with, okay? But like I said, if these people are smart with business, they would have seen this coming and said, you know, we need to invest in some alternatives. We can't just rely these days now on gas and oil. We need to look at other alternatives now, because people are concerned about what our gas and oil dependency has caused in the world over the decades. We use a lot of it. It's gone a lot beyond, you know, just a few thousand people that have cars. We got millions around the world, trillions of people all using automobiles and stuff, and it's gotten out of hand. Okay, we've actually hurt the earth in 100 years. That took 1,000 or more years to get the earth in the same position we are now. Okay, you know, before we had this big industrial revolution, it would have taken, you know, a millennia to create the damage that we've created in just 100 years. Okay, because of our industry, you know, and unnatural things that we pump into the air. It's not meant for that, okay? And it's poisoning us, and we don't even know it. You know, I just, well, I mean, we're gonna have to all live in iron lungs here at some point, right? You know. But the thing of it is that it's just it's out of control, and there needs to be more push to do things. But as we wait and wait for somebody to do something, we got these fucking accidents that keep happening. Okay, trains derail and destroy a town. 2 boats collide out on the fucking ocean. An oil rig blows up in the fucking Gulf. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I when I was younger, I don't remember, you know, accidents so frequently happening to the scale they are today. It's like carelessness has run rampant through that industry, you know, and I don't know why that is. I really don't. Especially with everybody bitching and complaining about the environment, you think it would be safer out there, you know, or at least better managed, but it isn't it? I mean, it's just not. So I don't know. I just feel like, you know, we're missing the point to why we're trying to save the planet, and I just don't see anybody really, you know, catching on to the urgency, you know, to do anything about it. But even if they did at this point, they couldn't stop it anyway. It would just slow it down at best. But, you know, the damage is done essentially. So anyway, that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the work week. Subscribe, comment, share, and be friendly to people out there, and stick to your communities and help each other out. And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.